Deep within the heart of Africa lay the kingdom of Kilamba, a place hidden by dense jungles and tall, untamed mountains. The people of Kilamba were blessed with peace, for their land was watched over by an ancient force, the Guardian. Yet, whispers of trouble were beginning to swirl like the wind, carrying the scent of danger. The edge of the great green plains, a young woman named Nyah stood atop a hill, staring into the horizon. Her ebony braids caught the morning breeze as she listened. "The winds never lie," her grandmother used to say. And today, the winds whispered something strange. Something ominous. Nyah returned to the village of Mawusi, where life bustled in full color. Children played with wooden toys, elders weaved stories under the baobab tree, and the smell of roasting maize filled the air. But Nyah's heart was restless, her ears still caught in the words of the wind. That night, as the fires crackled under a starlit sky, a messenger arrived at her family's hut. He bore a carved staff with a glowing crystal at its head. "Nyah, daughter of the earth," he announced, his voice firm and low, "the council of elders has summoned you to the great temple of Kilamba." The following morning, Nyah set off before the sun had kissed the land wake. She carried only a small satchel of food, a water gourd, and a woven shawl her grandmother had given her. Mawusi grew smaller in the distance as she walked, her path taking her deeper into the wildlands. Hours passed, and the landscape changed. Forests turned into rocky hills, where strange birds cawed from above. Nyah knew the way. The great temple lay beyond the River Zambe, a sacred place where only the chosen few dared tread. Yet something gnawed at her mind, a feeling that she was not alone. As Nyah paused by a small stream to rest, the air around her seemed to grow heavier. Shadows danced among the trees, and the once soothing chirps of insects fell into silence. She turned sharply, her heart pounding. "Who's there?" she called out, clutching her shawl. At first, there was no reply, only the whisper of leaves. But then, a pair of yellow eyes emerged from the shadows, watching her. It was no beast she had seen before. It was something far older and far darker. "You do not belong here, child," said a voice, as smooth as silk yet as rough as stone. Nyah stood frozen as the figure stepped into view. It was a tall being cloaked in vines and bark, its face hidden beneath a mask carved of wood. "I am Nyah, summoned by the council of elders," she said, summoning all her courage. The being tilted its head, studying her. "The winds have brought you, as they have brought many before you," it murmured. "Beware, child of earth. The path to Kilamba is paved with tests of the soul." And with that, the spirit melted back into the forest, leaving Nyah trembling yet determined. By midday, Nyah reached the River Zambe. The water roared with strength, its current a force of nature. Across it lay a bridge of stone, ancient, cracked, and humming with energy. Nyah approached cautiously, feeling the wind grow cold around her. As she stepped onto the bridge, the world shifted. Voices began to whisper in her ears, echoes of fear, doubt, and sorrow. She saw fleeting visions of faces, some she knew, others she did not. Her steps faltered. "This is just a test," she told herself. "The Guardian watches over me." Midway across the bridge, the whispers grew louder, now shouting her deepest fears. "You will fail. You are not worthy." Nyah gritted her teeth, clutching the crystal pendant around her neck. Her grandmother had given it to her, saying it held the strength of their ancestors. Suddenly, the shadows around her took shape. Figures crawled up from the stone, clawing at her feet. Nyah cried out, but did not stop moving. She sprinted toward the end of the bridge, the shadows nipping at her heels, and just as she leaped forward, the bridge behind her crumbled into nothingness. Nyah collapsed on the other side of the river, gasping for breath. The shadows were gone, but the cold touch still lingered. As she sat up, a soft glow appeared before her. From the light emerged a voice, gentle yet commanding. "You've passed the first test, Nyah," it said. "But greater trials await. Trust in yourself, and in the strength of Kilamba." The light faded, leaving Nyah alone once more. Yet, for the first time, she felt something new, a spark of purpose burning deep within her. Nyah pressed on, her feet carrying her toward the mountains of Kilamba. The path grew steep and treacherous, and the air grew thin with every step. As the sun began to set, the horizon turned red, but it was not the sunset. It was fire. Before her stretched a canyon, its walls alive with flames that crackled and roared. A narrow path ran through it, glowing with embers. Nyah hesitated, fear gripping her heart. "The fire will test you," a distant voice echoed. "You must walk it with courage." Nyah stepped into the canyon, shielding her face from the heat. Each step brought the flames closer, yet they did not burn her skin. Instead, they spoke to her, whispering truths she had buried deep. "You doubt yourself," one flame hissed. "You fear you are not strong enough." Tears pricked Nyah's eyes as the fire reflected her fears. Yet she pushed forward, whispering a prayer to her ancestors. The path burned brighter as she reached its end, and when she emerged, the flames disappeared. The canyon lay silent, and Nyah's heart felt lighter. She had faced her truth, and survived. The air grew cool as Nyah emerged from the canyon, the heat of the flame now a distant memory. Ahead of her, the towering peaks of the Kilamba Mountains loomed, crowned with mist. At the base of the mountains stood a gate, a massive structure of stone etched with symbols of the old world. Nyah approached, her breath catching as the gate shimmered with a soft, golden light. "Only those deemed worthy may enter," a voice boomed from nowhere. Nyah's heart raced. She reached out her hand, letting her fingers brush against the stone. The gate groaned, its symbols glowing brighter. "Prove yourself, Nyah," the voice commanded. "The guardian awaits." As the gate slowly opened, a blinding light engulfed Nyah, pulling her into a vast chamber of white stone. The room was empty except for a pedestal at its center, upon which lay a stone tablet. Nyah approached cautiously, the air thick with energy. "What is the truth you seek?" The voice asked again, echoing off the walls. Nyah closed her eyes, her thoughts swirling. She had been called here, for what purpose? "To protect Kilamba," she whispered. The tablet glowed in response, and suddenly the room trembled. From the light, the form of a guardian appeared, a being of immense power and grace. "Then you must be ready to sacrifice, Nyah," the guardian said softly. "For all gifts come with a price." The guardian's words echoed through the chamber as Nyah stared at the glowing form before her. "What must I sacrifice?" she asked, her voice trembling. The guardian's eyes, glowing like embers, seemed to pierce her soul. "Your fears, your doubts, and the life you once knew," it replied. A sudden vision overtook Nyah, her village, her family, the peaceful life she had always known. Would she give all of it up for the sake of Kilamba? "I will do whatever is needed," Nyah declared, her resolve strengthening. The guardian nodded, and the tablet before her split apart, revealing a staff of light. The staff floated toward Nyah, glowing brighter as it neared her hands. The moment she grasped it, warmth surged through her body, and the room around her vanished. She was now standing atop a mountain, the kingdom of Kilamba sprawled beneath her in a breathtaking view. "The power of the guardian flows through you now," the voice said, distant but clear. "But remember, it is not power that will save your people, it is your heart." Nyah looked down at the staff, feeling the weight of her responsibility. The wind roared around her, urging her forward. She ascended the mountain, ready to begin her true journey. As Nyah began her ascent from the mountain, the path grew darker with each step. Shadows stretched across the land, and a strange fog settled around her. Whispers returned, but these were not of doubt. They were voices of the unknown, faint and sinister. The staff glowed softly, pushing back the darkness. Nyah gripped it tightly, her resolve unwavering. "I will not falter," she whispered, her voice carried by the wind. The fog thickened, but then she saw it. At the base of the mountain, a figure cloaked in shadows waited for her. The figure stepped forward, its form wavering as though it were made of smoke. "You dare carry the guardian's light?" it hissed, its voice like gravel. Nyah lifted the staff, the glow intensifying. "I am Nyah of Mawusi, chosen to protect Kilamba." The figure let out a cold, sharp laugh. "The light cannot save you here. You are alone, child." Nyah stepped forward, determination burning in her chest. "I am never alone." My ancestors walk with me. The shadow recoiled as the staff flared, its light cutting through the darkness. Beyond the mountain lay a barren valley where once a village had thrived. Now, only ruined huts and ash remained. Nyah's heart ached as she walked through the remnants of what must have been a home. A voice whispered from the wind. They are gone because no one listened. Nyah froze. Turning, she saw faint figures, spirits lingering among the ruins. They stared at her, hollow and silent. What happened here? She asked softly. The darkness consumes those who lose hope, the wind replied. Nyah promised herself that Kilamba would not suffer the same fate. Nyah pressed on, guided by the glow of the staff. A faint path revealed itself, flickering with embers. The fire she had once passed through was alive here, crackling beneath her feet. You must move forward. The voice of the guardian echoed in her mind. Suddenly, flames erupted on both sides of the path, forming walls of fire. Nyah shielded herself, her heart racing. From within the flames came dark shapes, beasts born of shadow. They snarled and snapped, but Nyah raised the staff, its light burning brighter. Begone, she shouted. The beasts shrieked and disappeared in smoke, leaving her path clear. As Nyah emerged from the fiery trail, she saw a figure wading near a small stream. It was a young man, dressed in a traveler's cloak, holding a carved spear. You're the one carrying the guardian's light, he said, his tone both surprised and curious. Who are you? Nyah asked warily. The man smiled. I am Jabari, a wanderer from the eastern plains. I've heard stories of the darkness spreading. If you're heading to stop it, I'll go with you. Nyah hesitated, but something in his eyes, honesty and courage, convinced her. Together, they moved forward. The journey took them to a vast lake whose surface was smooth as glass. The water reflected everything perfectly, but there was something unnatural about it. Be careful, Nyah whispered to Jabari. This place feels alive. As they stepped to the water's edge, the reflections moved on their own, twisting into grotesque versions of themselves. The lake shows what you fear most, Jabari said, his voice shaky. Nyah closed her eyes and gripped the staff. We will not be swayed. The water rippled, and the false images shattered into nothingness. From the center of the lake, a figure rose, a spirit cloaked in mist, its form shifting like water. You are brave to face your fears, it said, its voice like droplets falling onto stone. But bravery alone will not be enough. What do you mean? Nyah asked. The spirit extended a hand, and a silver pendant emerged from the mist. Take this. It will guide you when the winds cannot. Nyah accepted the pendant, feeling its cool energy seep into her palm. The darkness cannot hide from the light of those who walk with purpose. Their journey led them into a dense forest, where sunlight barely reached the ground. Trees twisted unnaturally, and voices murmured among the branches. Do you hear that? Jabari whispered. Nyah nodded, gripping the staff tightly. The whispers grew louder, turning into words, taunts, pleas, and lies. Go back. You will fail. Darkness will consume you. Nyah raised the staff, its light pushing back the voices. We are not afraid, she declared. The forest shuddered, and the whispers fell silent, defeated by her will. As they left the forest, the shadow figure Nyah had seen before returned, now larger and darker. You persist, but you will fall, it snarled. Jabari stepped forward, brandishing his spear. She is not alone this time. The shadow laughed, splitting into multiple forms. Jabari fought alongside Nyah, his spear slicing through the smoke while Nyah's staff burned with light. Together, they drove the shadow back, forcing it to retreat into the darkness. It is getting stronger, Nyah said, panting. And so are we, Jabari replied with a grin. At last, they reached the gates of Kilamba, where the council of elders awaited. The village was beautiful, its huts carved with ancient symbols and its people bustling with life. Yet the elders wore grave expressions. The darkness grows bolder, the head elder said. It seeks to consume the guardian's power and all of Kilamba. Nyah, you have been chosen to stand against it. But you cannot do it alone. Nyah looked at Jabari and nodded. We will face it together. The elders prepared Nyah and Jabari for their final journey, blessing their weapons and arming them with knowledge of the ancient world. The darkness comes from the lost city, one elder explained. It is a place where light has been forgotten. Nyah and Jabari listened intently, understanding the weight of their task. The guardian chose you for a reason, the elder said to Nyah. You carry the hope of Kilamba within you. Nyah touched her pendant and the staff, feeling their power. We will not fail. Nyah and Jabari returned to Mawusi to a scene of unease. The villagers whispered in fear, as crops wilted and the air felt heavy. The remnants of darkness lingered, threatening to take root once more. Nyah raised the guardian's staff, its light cutting through the gloom. Do not despair, she called to her people. We have faced the shadow, and we will rise stronger. The villagers gathered around, inspired by her resolve. Under Nyah's guidance, they began to rebuild with renewed hope. Jabari proved a natural leader among the villagers. He worked tirelessly, rallying farmers, teaching children self-defense, and organizing patrols to guard against any lurking threats. Nyah saw in him the strength of Kilamba, a unity born from shared purpose. You were meant to help us, Nyah told him one evening by the fire. Jabari smiled, stirring the embers. And you were meant to lead us. Together, they forged a bond that would become the foundation of Kilamba's future. As Nyah meditated near the baobab tree, the wind shifted, carrying a familiar warmth. Before her, faint figures materialized, spirits of her ancestors. They shimmered like fireflies, their presence filling her with strength. Your journey is far from over, one spirit said, its voice echoing like a song. The darkness will return, stronger than before. But you will not face it alone. Nyah bowed her head, the weight of her destiny settling on her shoulders. She vowed to honor their legacy with every step. A messenger arrived from the great temple, bringing grave news. Other villages across Kilamba had reported strange occurrences, crops dying overnight, animals disappearing, and whispers of shadowy figures roaming the land. Nyah's resolve hardened. We must unite Kilamba, she told Jabari and the elders. Only together can we face what lies ahead. The council requested Nyah's presence once more, and this time, she would not journey alone. Nyah and Jabari set out to rally the neighboring tribes, carrying the light of the guardian as a beacon of hope. Their first stop was the coastal village of Diani, home to the fierce wave riders who guarded Kilamba's shores. The chief of Diani, a proud woman named Zola, welcomed them skeptically. Why should we join your fight? She asked. Nyah stepped forward, holding the staff high. Because the darkness will not stop until all of Kilamba is consumed. Zola studied her, then nodded. You have my warriors. The journey continued to the eastern plains, where the nomadic tribes lived in harmony with the land. The plains people were wary of outsiders, but Jabari, being one of their own, convinced them to listen. An elder spoke, his voice heavy with wisdom. The darkness has touched even us. If you fight for Kilamba, we will fight with you. With each new ally, Nyah's hope grew stronger. The unity of Kilamba was becoming a reality. Far to the west, in a desolate region abandoned for centuries, the remnants of the shadow began to coalesce. Whispers of fear and despair fed its growth, and soon it began to take form once more. It would not be long before the darkness set its sights on Kilamba again. This time with a vengeance. Nyah's group encountered their first major test when they reached the desert lands of Nguvu. The desert dwellers, a proud and solitary people, refused to join their cause. You must prove your worth, their chief declared, pointing to the shifting sands. Nyah stepped forward, volunteering to face the desert's trial. The test forced her to confront her deepest fears, but with the light of the guardian, she prevailed. The people of Nguvu pledged their allegiance, adding their warriors to Kilamba's growing ranks. Back in Mawusi, the villagers worked tirelessly to fortify their defenses. The unity among the tribes was unlike anything Kilamba had seen in generations. Elders shared stories, warriors trained together, and children carried water to aid the efforts. Nyah's leadership brought the people together, her voice a steady beacon in turbulent times. She knew the shadow's return was imminent, but Kilamba would not cower. One night, as Nyah stood watch under the stars, the guardian's voice returned. The shadow is gathering strength, it warned. It will strike soon, and it will seek to destroy the light completely. Nyah gripped the staff tighter. Then we will face it. Together. The guardian's voice softened. Remember, Nyah. True strength lies not in power, but in unity. Without warning, the shadow launched its first attack. It came under cover of night, sweeping through the plains and swallowing the stars. Villages burned, and terrified cries pierced the air. Nyah and her allies rushed to the front lines, the staff's light pushing back the darkness. But for every shadow they destroyed, more rose to take its place. This is only the beginning, Jabari said grimly. The shadow turned its attention to Mawusi, intent on crushing the heart of Kilamba's resistance. The villagers stood firm, their walls reinforced and their spirits unyielding. Nyah led the charge, the staff blazing like the sun. Warriors from every tribe fought side by side, their unity a force the shadow had not anticipated. The battle raged for days, but Kilamba held strong. As the siege continued, the guardian appeared to Nyah in a vision. You must go to the sacred grove, it said. There lies the key to defeating the shadow once and for all. With Jabari and a small group of warriors, Nyah set out on a perilous journey to the grove, leaving Mawusi under the protection of Zola and the other leaders. Nyah and her group, Jabari, Zola, and 2 brave warriors, ventured into the uncharted lands that lay beyond the mountains. The air was thick with an unnatural chill, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to hum with dormant energy. The sacred grove is close, Nyah said, clutching the staff as its light pulsed gently. Yet each step was harder than the last, as if the land itself resisted their passage. Their path was blocked by a colossal figure carved from stone, a guardian of the old world. Its eyes glowed a deep red as it came to life, its booming voice shaking the ground. Only the worthy may pass. The sentinel challenged each member of the group to a test of virtue. Nyah's test forced her to confront her deepest fear, losing her people. With courage and resolve, she overcame the trial, and the sentinel allowed them to continue. The group descended into a valley where every sound echoed tenfold. Whispers filled the air, growing louder with each step. Don't listen, Nyah warned, but the whispers clawed at their minds, dredging up memories of failure and regret. Jabari faltered, his face pale. Nyah placed a hand on his shoulder. We're stronger together. Her words silenced the whispers, and the valley returned to calm. As they neared the sacred grove, spirits emerged from the trees, shimmering, translucent beings who watched them silently. One spirit approached Nyah, its voice soft yet commanding. The heartstone you seek is guarded by a great trial. Only those of pure intent will succeed. Nyah nodded, her resolve unwavering. I will do what must be done. The sacred grove was a place of awe, a glen bathed in golden light, where an ancient tree stood at its center. Embedded in the tree's trunk was the heartstone, pulsating with radiant energy. As Nyah reached for it, the ground shook. A shadowy figure emerged, a manifestation of the darkness itself. You cannot take what belongs to me, it hissed. The shadow figure lunged, its form shifting and writhing. Nyah raised the staff, its light clashing against the darkness in a blinding burst. Jabari and the others joined the fight, their courage unwavering despite the overwhelming foe. The battle raged for hours, the sacred grove trembling with each strike. Finally, Nyah's staff pierced the heart of the shadow, banishing it with a deafening roar. The heartstone glowed brighter, its power now free. The heartstone lifted from the tree, merging with the staff in Nyah's hands. A surge of energy coursed through her, filling her with the wisdom and strength of the guardian's ancient power. The final battle awaits, a voice whispered in her mind. Go now, and protect Kilamba. Nyah and her group made their way back to Kilamba, their journey filled with a sense of urgency. Along the way, they encountered signs of destruction. The shadow had grown bolder in their absence, villages burned, and survivors huddled in fear. "We're running out of time," Jabari said grimly. Nyah's grip on the staff tightened. "Then we must be faster." When they returned to Mawusi, the scene was dire. The shadow had grown stronger, its forces spreading across Kilamba like a plague. The people were holding the line, but their strength was waning. Nyah rallied the leaders. "We have the power to end this," she declared. "But we must fight as one." Nyah and the tribal leaders worked tirelessly to unite Kilamba's forces. Warriors, healers, and elders from every region joined together, their differences set aside for the greater good. As the armies prepared, Nyah shared the Guardian's vision. "The light of Kilamba is strongest when we stand together." The shadow struck with full force, unleashing waves of darkness across Kilamba. Its minions, twisted and fearsome, laid siege to the villages, spreading chaos and despair. Nyah stood at the forefront of battle, her staff a beacon of light. "Hold the line," she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. The plains became a battlefield, with warriors from every tribe fighting side by side. Nyah's light pushed back the shadow's forces, but the battle was far from over. Jabari led a charge that broke the enemy's ranks, his bravery inspiring those around him. "We fight for Kilamba," he cried, his voice echoing across the plains. The shadow's forces attempted to block Kilamba's armies by fortifying the mountain pass, a critical route to their stronghold. Nyah led her warriors in a daring assault, using the staff's light to eliminate hidden paths. Jabari and Zola coordinated a surprise flank, breaking the enemy's lines. By dawn, the pass was secured, and Kilamba's forces surged forward. As the armies camped for the night, Nyah felt the staff vibrate softly. In her dreams, the spirits of Kilamba's ancestors appeared, their voices weaving a song of hope and resilience. When she awoke, the melody lingered in her heart. Nyah taught the song to the warriors, its verses strengthening their resolve as they prepared for the battles ahead. The shadow sent its most cunning forces to ambush the warriors in the dense, misty forest of Ekula. The enemy used illusions to confuse and divide the group. Nyah's staff cut through the fog, revealing the truth hidden within the mist. With her guidance, Kilamba's warriors regrouped and turned the ambush into a decisive victory. Zorak, a powerful lieutenant of the shadow, commanded a fortress overlooking Kilamba's eastern plains. The fortress seemed impenetrable, its walls guarded by shadow beasts. Nyah devised a plan, leading a small team through an underground tunnel to disable the fortress's defenses. As dawn broke, Kilamba's warriors stormed Zorak's stronghold, defeating the lieutenant and scattering his forces. During a council meeting, whispers of betrayal spread through the camp. A scout claimed to have seen a Kilamba warrior conspiring with the enemy. Nyah investigated the claim, using the staff to reveal hidden truths. The accused warrior, though falsely blamed, admitted to harboring doubts. Nyah's words of encouragement rekindled their faith, uniting the camp once more. The Shadow's general, a monstrous being known as Dakari, led an attack on Kilamba's forces as they crossed the River Nolan. His presence struck fear into even the bravest warriors. Nyah faced Dakari in a fierce duel, her staff flashing against his blade of darkness. Though the battle was grueling, Nyah's unwavering light shattered Dakari's weapon, forcing him to retreat. Kilamba's forces discovered a hidden sanctuary deep in the jungle, untouched by the shadow. Within its sacred walls, healers used ancient remedies to mend wounds and restore strength. Nyah prayed at the sanctuary's altar, seeking guidance from the Guardian. The staff glowed, revealing a vision of the final battle and the key to victory. As Kilamba's forces marched toward the Shadow's stronghold, the sky darkened. Thunder rumbled, and winds howled, a sign that the final confrontation was near. Nyah rallied her warriors. "This storm will not break us, it will carry us to victory," she declared. With renewed determination, they pressed onward. The Shadow's stronghold loomed ahead, its gates carved from obsidian and guarded by fearsome creatures. The air crackled with dark energy as Kilamba's warriors prepared for the assault. Nyah led the charge, the staff's light carving a path through the darkness. The gates trembled under their combined might and finally shattered, granting them entry. Inside the stronghold was a labyrinth designed to break the spirits of those who entered. The walls shifted, and voices whispered doubts into the ears of the warriors. Nyah's staff acted as a beacon, guiding the group through the maze. Her unwavering faith inspired the others to resist the labyrinth's tricks, and together they emerged unscathed. At the heart of the stronghold lay the Chamber of Shadows, where the dark force that plagued Kilamba had gathered its power. The air was heavy with malice, and the ground quaked beneath their feet. Nyah and her companions steeled themselves for the final battle, their resolve unshaken despite the overwhelming darkness. The shadow revealed its true form, a massive, shifting entity of smoke and fire. It spoke in a voice that echoed through the chamber. "You are too late. Kilamba will fall." Nyah raised her staff, its light clashing against the shadow's darkness. The battle began, a clash of power that shook the stronghold to its core. As the battle raged, the shadow sought to divide the warriors, preying on their fears and weaknesses. But Nyah reminded them of their unity, the bond that made them stronger than any darkness. Their combined strength pushed the shadow back, and the staff's light grew brighter with each passing moment. In a critical moment, the shadow unleashed a devastating attack aimed at Nyah. Jabari stepped forward, shielding her with his body. Though gravely wounded, his sacrifice gave Nyah the opening she needed. "Kilamba will endure," Jabari whispered before collapsing. His bravery ignited a fierce determination in Nyah and the warriors. Nyah channeled the full power of the Heartstone, its light piercing through the shadow's defenses. The entity shrieked, its form flickering as the light consumed it. "Your reign is over," Nyah declared, driving the staff into the core of the shadow. A brilliant explosion of light filled the chamber, banishing the darkness. The stronghold crumbled as the shadow's power dissipated. Nyah and her companions emerged victorious, though the cost of the battle weighed heavily on their hearts. Jabari's body was carried back to Kilamba with honor, his sacrifice remembered as a turning point in their fight for freedom. The people of Kilamba began to rebuild, their spirits stronger than ever. The tribes, once divided, now stood united as one kingdom. Nyah was hailed as a hero, but she humbly reminded them that the victory belonged to all. "The light of Kilamba shines in each of you," she said. "Let us honor our past by building a brighter future." Nyah returned the staff to the great temple, its purpose fulfilled. As she placed it on the altar, a voice echoed through the chamber. "You have done well, Nyah. The Guardian's power will always watch over Kilamba." Though she no longer bore the staff, Nyah carried the strength of her journey within her. Years later, the story of Nyah and Guardian of Kilamba became legend, passed down through generations. The Heartstone's light continued to shine, a symbol of hope and resilience. Nyah, now an elder, watched as young warriors prepared to protect the kingdom she had fought so hard to save. Her legacy was not in her deeds alone, but in the unity and strength of Kilamba's people. As the sun rose over Kilamba, the shadow was no more. The light of the Guardian shone brighter than ever, and Nyah stood as a symbol of hope and resilience. The tribes remained united, their bonds forged in the fires of battle. Nyah returned the staff to the great temple, her mission complete. She knew the darkness might one day return, but Kilamba was ready, and so, the story of Nyah, the Guardian of Kilamba, became legend, an eternal reminder that even in the darkest times, the light will always prevail. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please share, like, and subscribe to CraveNews for more amazing tales. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next adventure.